Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're going to talk about bullets and our favorite bullets. And I have an awesome guest on the channel, Reloading Weatherby. Thank you very much for coming back on the channel.
Yeah, no problem. It's good to be here.
Really, yeah, thank you. Really appreciate it. All right, so I had talked to Reloading Weatherby about some of our favorite bullets and what his favorite five was. And we thought, you know what, let's just make a video out of this. So we're going to have a few honorable mentions, but then we're going to get to our top five.
Yeah.
So since you're the guest, I'll let you go first. Do you have any honorable mentions that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I have two. And the first one, I think a lot of you are going to be kind of upset that it's an honorable mention and not in the top five. I have a lot of respect for it. I think it's the bullet that is kind of the measuring stick. So it's the Nosler Partition. Uh, it's a hybrid bullet. It's got that soft point up front, and then the partition that separates it, so it penetrates really well. It's just kind of the best of both worlds. Yeah, it's an incredible bullet.
I think a lot of people will be mad at me for not having these in the top five. I'm going to throw out two, the CX by Hornady and the TTSX by Barnes. Um, Probably two of the very best monolithic bullets out there, especially the Barnes. It's been around. There you go. Been around a long time. I've got some I'm getting ready to load up in my 308. Excellent bullet. I think they're awesome as long as your velocity is high enough, and therefore you got to be close enough. And so there is another monolithic bullet that I think is possibly more versatile, and especially with different ranges and speeds. So that's the reason I didn't put those two on this top five, but they're excellent, excellent bullets.
By the way, this was going to be my other honorable mention.
Oh,
Me and you agree. The TTSX is a good bullet in
very
certain circumstances.
All right, so I've got three more honorable mentions. So I'm going to throw them out kind of fast. I've been watching a lot of Alaskan ballistics, Mason leather, frontline rejects videos with bullets. I've been very impressed with the Federal Fusion. It just seems like an excellent bullet. It just seems like no one has anything bad to say about it, and it just always works. I haven't, had enough personal experience with it to really put it on my top five, but I think it's an excellent bullet. The Swift Sirocco, I think, is probably just as good as some of the ones that we're going to have on our top five, but it maybe is a little underrated and it doesn't get the limelight that it should. So I'm going to throw that out there.
Can I talk
And
about Swift Sirocco
oh,
real quick?
absolutely.
Why I think it's not up higher? It is a picky bullet, like
Okay.
ridiculously picky. You have to load it close to the lands, or, well, maybe you guys can correct me if you have had good accuracy with a lot of jump, but I have I have some 150 grain Swift Siroccos, and I cannot get them to group in any of my rifles. They're picky,
Okay.
but
Gotcha.
if they shoot well in your gun, it's a really good bullet.
Nice. Good to know. And then my last honorable mention is the Norma Bond Strike. I was tempted to put it in the top five, but I didn't for two reasons. It's just so new. I don't think it's had the testing it needs. And also, I don't think it's good for the bigger game because it's just so soft.
Hmm.
Um, it's a really good deer sized game bullet, and it seems to have tremendous BC. In fact, there's some controversy that the BC is inflated, but the BC is amazing. The expansion is unreal, and it holds together. It's a bonded bullet. It holds together, but it's so soft the penetration might not be quite there. So I don't think as an overall bullet it can just quite make that top five. However, in my mind, I think this Bond Strike is kicking out some VLD bullets for me. So one reason I like the VLD bullets, they obviously have their downfalls, but I love the high BC and I love the fact that they're really good at longer ranges. Not like elk or bigger, but let's say deer size game. I think this Norma Bond Strike just kind of takes that place for me. I think it's the better bullet for that application. So pretty impressed with it.
I agree.
All right. So You want to start with your number five?
Yeah. So I brought show and tell. My number five is the Nosler Accubond long range. So it kind of takes the greatness of the Accubond, makes it a much higher BC bullet, a little bit softer, kind of like that normal Bond Strike. And well, it's Nosler's answer to the ELDX or Berger's VLD or hybrid. And I think if you are going to do long range hunting, which I don't think you should, but if you're going to, use this bullet or a Bond Strike. I I've been impressed. So the things that I've heard about the Accubond long range is that it's a picky bullet. That has not been the case in my specific rifle. That might be for others, but I'm getting half MOA, loading at 20 thousandths off the lands. And it's been great. I've taken it out to 700 and almost 800 yards, and it was a tack driver. So I definitely think if you are into the long range hunting, you should really consider this. One downside is it's not the greatest short range bullet, as you would expect. It's meant for long range, so it's not going to hold together as well as a monolithic or the normal Accubond. But it's a darn good bullet, and yeah, I would recommend it.
Nice. All right, number five for me is the Barnes LRX. I don't have a ton of personal experience, but I just feel like that the LRX might be the best overall monolithic bullet because it is going to open up a little bit easier. It's made for that longer ranges, as the name implies. So it is the only monolithic bullet I have on the list. Spoiler. I just feel like the other ones are excellent, but once again, they have to have that really high speed, and they're better for close to medium ranges. But that LRX would have a little bit more versatility, so it would be my pick for the best monolithic bullet. All right, number four.
Yes, on to four. I have Federal's Terminal Ascent. I don't have a ton of experience in this. Again, like you said, I've done my research. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos on the expansion. This just seems like just about the perfect hunting bullet. And the reason it's only number four for me is you can really only get it in factory ammo. And the other downside to factory ammo is you're not going to get as good as accuracy. I don't know if I've seen Federal Terminal Ascent shoot really, really tight groups. At least I haven't seen it yet. I'm sure some guns absolutely love it, but overall, I don't think it's the most accurate bullet. But I mean, it's got that bonded up front, and then basically it's a monolithic bullet in the base. And so it's kind of like a partition, but yeah, it's really good.
It is very good. I'm very impressed with it. Okay, my number four. This might shock people because I never talk about this bullet on my channel, but I think the Nosler Partition is number four. If I think about any old school bullet, any cup and core bullet, and I know, like you said, it's the front half is kind of cup and core, the back half is not, but it really has to be the best old school bullet out there. I mean, at the right velocities, them old power points and core locks and all them bullets can be pretty good, but they're pretty picky, not consistent at all. And the Partition is very consistent. It's just made to dump all of its energy in the first part of that animal, and then go ahead and penetrate all the way through or most of the way through. If I'm not hunting at long ranges, if it's going to be, and I know there are people who do use the Partition at longer ranges, but I see its best application at shorter ranges. I just can't think of a better bullet. So I just think, from 50 to 250 yards, it's just about probably the perfect bullet. So going to give it to the Nosler Partition.
Awesome. It's a newer bullet. And, well, we talk about these hybrid bullets like the Partition or the Terminal Ascent. Hammer gives you that kind of thing with a monolithic bullet. So what I love about Hammer bullets, they are the easiest bullet to hand load for. you can find loads right away. Such an accurate bullet. And they go faster. Like you don't have as much pressure as other bullets. So you're going to have the best of both worlds. What every hunter wants is ridiculous velocity with incredible accuracy. So this is a 257 caliber bullet, 92 grain. So it's a little guy. The only downside I see to these bullets is they're a little expensive and they're not as high as BC, but that's kind of how it goes with monolithic bullets. But as I said, this is kind of a hybrid. What I mean is that the bullet's designed to kind of not blow up, but fragment the front half of
Pedals
it.
kind of go off,
Pedal
right?
are supposed to come off. So the front bullet shrapnels, and then that base of the bullet will keep penetrating. So I think it's one of the best bullets you can get.
I kind of feel bad that I don't have it on the list, but my mind, I think, changes all the time. So I might come up with 3 different lists in the next 2 weeks. At some point, I'm pretty sure I am going to have the hammer bullets on here. The only experience I literally have is watching your videos. And I know you have got tremendous accuracy out of your 257. And I did go to their website once and look at their bullets, and I was amazed at the different weights they have. So many different bullet weights, including getting really light, which would be going very fast. So it's just not something I've looked into yet, but it definitely is in my future. I'm going to look into.
Yeah. So I think they make down to a 60 grain bullet for 25 caliber. Can you imagine that in the 257? I think I've
Yeah,
seen hand loaded velocity for that's like 4,500 feet per second.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be deadly too. Wow.
Not great for barrel life, but it'd be fun.
So here's another bullet I don't talk a whole lot about on my channel, but it's an amazing bullet, the Accubond long range. So you've already talked about it, but the Accubond is just a very consistent bullet. And then this is just that softer, a little bit higher BC counterpart. I'm definitely wanting to get some. I've watched your videos where you shoot the 165s out of your 270. I'm wanting to get some for my 270 short mag. They are very expensive. Nosler knows they got a good product and they're making sure you pay for it, but it is a very good product. It's really just hard to beat. So it just seems to be excellent. Really, it seems to be excellent at all ranges, but you're right. It's not made for a close-up shot. It's probably not going to keep its weight retention like you'd want. But just overall, it's just hard to beat. So there's just nothing bad to say about it. It's just an excellent bullet.
And let's talk about the close range with the ABLR or Accubond long range. It's still going to be better than an ELDX, like weight retention. Your weight
Yep.
retention is just going to be anywhere from 40 to 50% instead of like 70 to 80% at farther distances. So,
And I think, it's going to be good, not just deer size game. So if you compare it to the normal bond strike, both would be great at long ranges for deer. But I think the Accubond long range, even though it is softer, I think it's a tougher bullet than the bond strike, and it would be better for elk sized game and on up.
yeah.
So, all right, that's my number 3. What's your number 2?
Oh,
Thank you for having all these handy. That really
yeah,
helps.
yeah. We got the Barnes LRX. So I think I got to agree with you. The LRX is one of the best monolithic bullets. I think this one's challenging it, but for now, I think the Barnes kind of owns the monolithic market, and it's just a TTSX, but better. So when I say better, it just has higher BC. It should open up at farther distances a little bit better. I don't know how much better, but I mean, if you are a monolithic fan and you plan to only hunt from 0 out to 500 yards, I think this is your bullet. So it's a good bullet.
Definitely is. All right, my number 2 is just the standard Accubond. In all the tests I've watched, I just feel like it's a little bit better expansion. It's going to hold together just a little bit better. There you go. The amazing Accubond. So, if it wasn't for my number one, this would easily take it. It's just so consistent. I mean, the only flaw maybe potentially at really long ranges, it might not expand as good. But in the tests I've watched people, do on YouTube or the articles I've read, it really is an all range bullet. It's an all animal bullet. It's just, I would say if you don't know what bullet to go with, just go with the bonded bullet and probably just go with an Accubond. And one really big thing about this bullet that is really good is it's in everything. You can pretty much get it in every caliber. Some of the ones that are newer on the scene that we're talking about, they're just not quite as prolific. But the Accubond is out there. You can get it in factory, but you can also get it in reloading components. So it's just an amazing, amazing bullet.
Okay, my number one. Well, you kind of introduced it.
There you go.
It's the Accubond. It's what the ELDX wishes it was. I'll piss off all of the Hornady fans, but it's that do it all bullet. It takes care of everything. It can do a little bit long range, not like the ABLR, but I would say you're good out to 600 yards if you have a Magnum. Good weight retention, good penetration. The only downside I see to the Accubond is it's expensive.
Yeah, that's
Whether
true.
you're buying Nosler ammo or buying a box of these, a 50 of these, it's just so expensive. But yeah, you're paying for the Nosler name, but I do think it's the best bonded bullet, and it's really hard to beat. So it's my number one. So the BCs aren't as good as say Berger and the Hornady ELDX, but I still think they're very competitive. This 180 grain has a BC of 0.507. I have a 200 grain in my 300 Weatherby that has a BC of 0.588. That's really good.
Yeah.
All 0.6. Yeah, it's my go-to bullet.
My number one is a much newer on the scene bullet. It was on your list already, but it's the Terminal Ascent. It doesn't have the same track record as the Accubond. Yes, there you go. I've been shooting it out of the 308. It doesn't have as many different options out there, but I just feel like it's a home run, and I just see nothing wrong with it. It seems like on test that the Accubond has a 95% weight retention, which is amazing. Yes, I, I love the way it looks too. Then the Terminal Ascent has a 99% weight retention. It just seems like if the Accubond expands by double, this one expands by 2.5. It just seems like they've got it figured out. I'm not saying it's better, but I just think I would just give it the slight edge. But there is some downsides. The downside is it's just not out there. I think it is sold as a component, but I've never seen it anywhere to buy. So, I mean, I think it's coming. So I'm kind of looking ahead, but I think it's coming where you're going to be able to get the Ascent, just like the Accubond, in so many different calibers. And at the moment, it's half the price. It's for the factory ammo. If I were to get, say, a Accubond long range bullet in a 308 versus the Terminal Ascent, it's literally half the price. And so now that might change later. You know how things are when they introduce something, they kind of keep the price low. I just think the future is very bright with it. It just seems like an amazing bullet. And I'm going to throw out a kind of a controversial statement, but I think if it goes the way it's going to go, for me personally, I think this Terminal Ascent is going to replace all the monolithic bullets. It is kind of half a monolithic bullet. The back half is monolithic, but it's just so consistent. It expands much better than any monolithic bullet, including an LRX. Now, you mentioned the accuracy. That might be something I need to look into. But the BC is high. It's just like if they took a Nosler partition and updated it, which really needs to happen, made it a high BC version of a partition. This is the trophy bonded bear claw version of that. It's been updated. It's got a higher BC, and it's just I think it's the best bullet ever designed. But I guess time will tell.
So I gotta ask, you shot this bullet in your 308. What accuracy were you getting?
It was minute of angle. It was
Okay.
good.
So you were getting 1 MOA, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember exactly. It might have been 1.2 or zero point 0.9,
Okay.
but it was right in that ballpark.
So I need to shoot this bullet in a better 30-06 to see true potential. But yeah, it's a darn good bullet.
It is. It really is. I don't know. I'm really excited about it. I just want them to expand their product lines and get it out there as a standalone bullet where we can reload it.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you so much again, Reloading Weatherby, for coming on the channel. Um, you always bring a lot to the table, and you're very interesting to listen to. So thanks again.
All right, no problem.
And if you folks at home have anything you want us to talk about, if you want us to talk about something else, just let us know in the comments. Well, I'm sure you have, but if you haven't, please go to Reloading Weatherby and subscribe. He has awesome videos. He's way more consistent than me. He comes out every week with a new video. They're very interesting. So please go there and check him out. Hope you guys have had a great day. We'll just leave it there. And until next time, take care.